All right. Good afternoon, good evening, morning, welcome, wherever you are in the world. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to be going with some King of the Hill action. Yeah. Here we are. Welcome. Got Felcon in the house, Ignacy, Eli, Valkanos, Rubber Duck, Aethelwolf, Thomas. Welcome. Alright, let's have a look here. First up, we got Red Legion versus Tank. Red Legion rocking Empire to start. Very nice. We've got a couple of Hellblaster volley guns ready for Independence Day. They've got their fireworks loaded. The good old Roman candles here. Got a, Amber Wizard. Bunch of Spearmen. What is this? Archers? Huntsmen, actually. Whole bunch of Empire Knights. What is that? Boris the Todd up in the air. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Interesting choice with the double Hellblaster. Curious to see how that's going to go. On the Tomb King's side, we've got Ark in the Black here. A couple of Ushabti Great Bows plus a Casket of Souls. So also pretty heavy on the artillery. Skeleton Spears, Kepper Guard, and one Tomb Guard with Halberds. Here it looks like a couple of Nehekara Horsemen. No, Skeleton Horsemen. And the Eyes of the Desert Sepulchral Stalkers. Yeah, starting this off quick. That's right. We're just getting straight into it. Straight into the action. Yes, Ark in the Black. Good old nefarious Arkan. And that purple armor, it's definitely something. Definitely something. Spirit Leech, Aspect of Dread Knight, very interesting. I was going to say, he doesn't have any terror-causing units, but I guess he's just going to be relying on that Aspect of Dread Knight in order to get those terror routes. Yep. The Hellblasters is a wild one. We'll see the crew of the Hellblaster volley guns might be somewhat vulnerable to the actual Casket of Souls itself. We'll see. Casket has longer range. Yeah, 440 range on the Casket, whereas the Hellblaster volley guns only have 290 range, right? So they're going to have to get significantly closer. And, I mean, Ushabti Great Bows have 255, so it's not like the Ushabti Great Bows are outranged that heavily by the Hellblasters. They can even get in range and counterfire on the Hellblasters themselves, so... excuse me. A little bit worried about how these Hellblasters are actually going to do here, but we'll see. Right now, Red Legion's just kind of sizing things up, deciding how he wants to do it. We do have Knights of the Blazing Sun, interesting, so they're not all Empire Knights. Just mostly Empire Knights. Yeah, just the one Knights of the Blazing Sun, it looks like. Casket coming in. Sigmar's Sons up front. That's an expensive unit. Not super expensive, but I mean, relatively speaking, for Empire Infantry. Maybe don't want to be taking the shots directly with them, but yeah, I mean, there's not... You gotta take the shots with something, right? So... Boris and these cavalry swinging up and wide here, but that does mean this Ushabti Greatbow might come into range, and it's probably worth it for Legion to go after this Ushabti Greatbow here with the two volley guns. It does look like that's what he's going to try and do. Spirit Leech on one of the volley guns from Arkan is going to do a little bit of damage to the crew. And will it actually break a model there? No, it did not. And now Arkan getting danger close in the zone here, definitely in the splash zone of the Hellblaster volley guns. They're gonna open up with a nasty volley here if they can connect on some of those shots. Oh yeah, really good damage on Arkan there. Wow, look at that. Just a couple of volleys, about a quarter of his HP or more, probably about a third of his HP in damage there. That is very impressive. So, I mean, volley guns really don't need a lot to pay for themselves against a high-value target like that. Meanwhile, though, these Knights of the Blazing Sun are taking some shots from those Ushabti Greatbows. Definitely, yeah, exactly what Red Legion needs to do. Switch onto the Ushabti Greatbows with the Hellblaster volley guns. And I'd probably pull these Sigmar Suns back and just keep them at the back of the formation and let the Spearmen take those shots. But Yeah, those Ushabti definitely going to want to pull away, and they do have higher speed, which kind of gives them an advantage of being able to cycle in and out here versus the slow artillery piece of the Hellblaster volley guns. Yeah, Casket has missed a lot of shots so far, and this, going after the artillery crew, you can see it whiffed completely, but all it takes is like one nice concentrated shot, and here a Spirit Leech does take down one of those volley guns models, so hard to say. Arcan's a pretty expensive character. Oh, and another model goes down there. So, I don't know, this is probably about a cost-equivalent trade if you consider, I don't know, Arcan's kit, he's probably about 1,700 if I had to guess, so maybe not exactly cost-effective, but the Hellblasters, like I said, they really don't need much more to pay for themselves. And we've also got these Huntsmen coming into range as well, who are still stocked, have not been hit at all by that Casket. Casket's now, yeah, going after this artillery piece here. Looks like it didn't actually destroy that gun, it just killed the crew, so they're going to be able to get back online there. And now the Huntsmen reveal themselves, so this Ushabti is definitely in some trouble here. The armor will help against the Huntsman's fire, but you can see the Blasters also firing in now as well. That one Blaster, oh man, yeah, the Spirit Leech plus the Casket's been able to deal with them pretty quickly, but Arcan's just taking an absolute beating here. Interesting kind of trade on both sides. Huntsman now just kind of firing at whatever. They definitely want to try and conserve their ammo for these Ushabti Great Bows, but at the same time, the fact that, excuse me, the Empire player here, Red Legion, he can try and use his Knights to good effect. Knights of the Blazing Sun actually probably would have pulled them around this side of the formation, charge them directly at these Kepler Guard because of that fire damage and that high charge bonus against the, relatively low armor of the Kepler Guard means that they would just get pounded by Knights of the Blazing Sun on the charge. Like, they are just asking for it, basically. But at the same time, just the fire from the Huntsman actually is not too bad, given that they don't have a missile block chance. And again, only 50 armor. They can be shot pretty cost-effectively. Oh, and the last Hellblaster goes down there to the Casket, so maybe not the best in terms of artillery trade. But the Kepler Guard now getting charged by just Empire Knights is totally valid as well. I mean, it still will do a lot of damage. Kepler Guard still haven't lost too many models yet, so they can regenerate quite a bit of that. And the Liber Mortis being used there to kind of stabilize them in that engagement. But Red Legion's push having some issues right now. Looks like, yeah, these Knights are face charging into spears, which I'm not really sure about. But the Huntsmen actually doing a lot of focus fire to these Ushabti Great Bows, which is pretty nice. Meanwhile, over on this side, the Empire Knights have pretty much been dealt with. A summoned Skeleton Warrior in the backline to not only rout those Spearmen, but to tie down the Huntsmen. And, oh, it's Amber Spear. Oh, man, it's tracing. It does actually connect there. It doesn't do too much damage to Arcan, but it does connect. And, yeah, Boris could even swoop down at this point and try and take out Arcan. There's Eyes of the Desert are here, and they're going to open up right now and do a ton of damage to him as he's fighting those Kepler Guard. But I hear a Manticore summon online. That can go back, try and finish off Arcan. Manticore summons are also excellent for pressuring. Oh, no. And one of the Hellblasters able to get back online. They actually had all of their guns, it looks like, somehow still, but the crew gets taken out there. And now, fun fact, if the other crew, this crew here, they can actually remount this artillery piece. Like, they don't need to they don't need to remount their own artillery piece. So as long as there's still guns on the field and there's a crew, you can get it done. But here, Feral Manticore drops down, doing a ton of damage to Eyes of the Desert on the rear charge. Great attack animations and AP. Also have the support of these Empire Knights and Spearmen here as well. Should be just fine in this engagement. Huntsman able to stabilize, get away from those summoned skeletons, although the Kepler Guard are pushing back, very aggressive, still alive after taking an absolute beating. State troops pushed back in the back line, going to be able to tie down these Tomb Guard with halberds. That means any of the other Empire mobile forces can try and swing up and shut down those Ushabti Great Bows, but for the time being, they are free to fire. Skeletons in the front line are crumbling, but not really quickly enough. Huntsmen really probably need to pull up in range and try and start hitting on those Ushabti Great Bows, but here, stabilizing the back line, these crew, oh man, there's 9 of them. If he can get them back online, he can remount that last Hellblaster and potentially still get some value from it. Sigmar's Sons pulling back to kind of a protection position again, just trying to play off the Huntsman as much as possible. And I'm surprised the casket hasn't been going after the huntsmen themselves. They still pose a pretty serious threat to, you know, like this Tomb Prince, for example. They can shoot him. Might be a little bit of a problem in the late game, although Boris can probably outduel him. Yeah, these halberds, only 50 armor. Shooting them in the back, honestly, isn't going to be super efficient, but at the same time, it's not honestly going to be terrible. But really, of course, the Ushabti Great Bows are the real target here. And it does look like, oh man, yes, the nine Help Blaster crew get back on their guns, secured from the skeletons at last. And it just so happens that 9 men is the ideal amount to crew a 3-piece of artillery, considering they each require 3 men to man. So how about that? The hero's Hellblaster back in the fight. Let's see if it can get some good volleys, some effective damage on some of these high-value targets in the late game. Ooh, another Amber Spear, it looks like, getting tossed. And probably, yeah. Oh no, the Summoned Ushabti, come on. Why you gotta do this, tank? Why you gotta do this? It was too much. That's kind of hilarious, though, that he burned this Ushabti summon on this very, very tattered Hellblaster crew. So even in defeat, those are the true heroes of the Empire. Absolutely. Still very, very close, though. After 9 minutes of slugging, this is absolutely anyone's match. And Boris is now... oh, yeah, Boris got a really nice engagement here against the Tomb Prince. He's got the support of his knights and spearmen kind of in a surround here. Looks like another Manticore summon going to be pulled up as well to try and come in and help stabilize. The Tomb Prince is still dangerous. He punches back against Boris pretty hard a couple times. Boris just about loses his leadership there, but is able to stabilize. The Huntsman getting a few key volleys on the Eyes of the Desert as they pull forward. They're able to kind of pressure, and a lot of the Empire forces routing. But look at these Sigmar's sons, man. They're having a grand old time just chopping skeletons at the moment. Oh man, Boris, don't rout. Oh, he's going to get rear charged probably by the Tomb Prince here. No, in fact, the Tomb Prince, a little bit of a mistake, probably instead goes after... oh, but the Eyes of the Desert and the Spirit Leech. Oh man, that's a backbreaker. And as soon as this Manticore summon wears off, that'll be a big deal. Granted, the Ushabti summon's just about gone as well, and an Amber Spear comes through. Oh, a swing and a miss. That is unfortunate. Sigmar's sons now having to fight the Ushabti Great Bows in melee. Definitely not an ideal situation, but we still have Empire Knights coming back. There's no more Hellblaster crews, right? That really was the end of that. Oh, sad day. Yeah. Tomb Kings don't have any way of healing, but this Manticore summon's almost gone. Boris was able to recover his leadership and now comes down, gets a nasty charge attack, immediately pulling away from the Tomb Prince, utilizing that Amber Wizard as an anvil. An anvil wizard. Oh, Cursive Jaff goes off, gets the melee attack, but that does mean that Boris will come down and use his charge bonus. Could still get some attacks against the Tomb Prince here. Will the Tomb Prince be able to finish off Boris with that Enrage effect? Boris can't pull away there, but it looks like the Tomb Prince is forced into crumbling. Oh man, those Huntsmen firing in danger close. Boris takes a hit there, but the Tomb Prince, he's down to 300 HP. Boris is at 800. Oh, and a Spirit Leech comes in. That might be enough to finish off Boris. The Tomb Prince goes down. Oh, and here comes an Amber Spear. I don't know. I don't think this is... oh, man. Oh, that does connect on Arcan the Black. But these Empire Knights, the fact that these Tomb Guard with halberds, in particular, are still so healthy, they're going to be a big, big problem. And, yeah, looks like Legion just now using up the last of his ammo. So, holy cow, guys. This has been a game, I'll tell you what. But the Spearmen actually kind of getting a little bit of a blob engagement here against this unit of Ushabti Great Bows. That is very, very nice for them. Boris is kind of just hanging around in the back here, trying to go after Arcan, I would imagine, but no, he routs. Oh man, Boris, what are you doing? Gotta stay on the field, and another Spirit Leech from Arcan the Black, basically ensuring that Boris isn't going to come back. Might not even survive that at all, it looks like. Oh, and he does go down. Oof. Sad day. Yeah, if he could have got a little bit more value from the artillery, he could have won, for sure. For sure. I almost wonder, and this is one of the reasons why I think cannons here, just the range advantage of cannons is so good. You know, it can trade at range, the same range as the casket, I think, or maybe even longer range, and he just could have got a little bit more value there. And even still, I mean, he was able to generate some value, it just wasn't quite enough. And the main thing here is Ushabti Great Bows are a real danger to your cavalry, especially. You can see these Ushabti Greatbows all got chevrons, 52, 97, and 3 chevrons here in particular, 117 chevrons for the casket. So the cannons giving you that range advantage. Not only that, but they will do really nice damage to Ushabti Greatbows, given that they're monstrous infantry. Like one hit on them does a lot of damage. And just one other kind of thing at the beginning too. If those Knights of the Blazing Sun had peeled off, come over to the left, and charged those Kepler Guard in the face, I don't know that they would have killed them in one charge, but they would have done so much damage because the Kepler Guard were around, pushing into that back line, pressuring those Huntsmen into the late game. 136 kills on them is definitely pretty impressive. Yeah, alternately, if you don't want to bring the Knights of the Blazing Sun, you could just downgrade them, maybe find some other points here somewhere, like if you change these volley guns to cannons, then you can bring a Warrior Priest with the Banner of Eternal Flame. That will give you fire damage on your Empire Knights, or on your cannons, or on whatever else you need. And that way you don't necessarily have to bring the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Whatever's fighting the Kepler Guard or Ark in the Black can get that little damage boost. But a great game. Yeah, what a battle to start the stream. How about that? Yeah, round of applause for sure. As I get the next competitor lined up. Let's see here. And let's get some music going. There we go. Okay. All right. Get our next competitor in. Ah, man, that was wild. That was wild. Maybe even Hellstorms. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that Hellstorms would have been all that great, but cannons for sure, just the longer range and the fact they're a bit cheaper, would have been able to generate some value from them. You could even do one cannon, one Hellblaster, if you still want the high DPS of the Hellblaster. Then... Even still, though, even if he's not shooting your casket, just shooting something at long range, right? Like the fact that the... yeah, like... I don't know, he could just be shooting anything. He doesn't necessarily have to even be shooting your casket. It's just the fact that the blasters generated almost no value, other than shooting Arcan there. I mean, they did generate some value shooting Arcan, but... the cannons could have been shooting anything. Even just shooting your skeleton spearmen generating some value would have been more worthwhile than the Hellblasters, I think. But you can do like a one Hellblaster, one cannon, so at least you're pressuring from the start, and one of them is ensured to at least generate some value. It doesn't have as much burst potential, right? But then you still have the burst potential of the one Hellblaster you kind of push forward with your main force. I don't know. Personally, I think I'd generally go with just the Hammer of Witches here. Because the Hammer of Witches has magic damage, it counters Invocation of Protection. And Liber Mortis also gives physical resistance, right? So it has a little bit of interaction there. And of course the accuracy helps. And the extra refire rate from being a Regiment of Renown. I'm sorry. No, I'm banning Empire Mirror. I don't want to watch that. No. Yeah, no one wants to watch Vampire Count's Mirror. I'm sorry, but that's the worst. That is literally the worst thing in the game, so we're gonna not do that. I'm gonna go ahead and just veto that right now. I'm sorry, but that's just the worst. It's so bad. Yeah. Maybe not. Yeah, no, sorry. I'm not doing that. I refuse. Buy Sigmar's right? No! No! Yeah, I'm sorry, Reginald, if you actually wanted to see this. Because, no. Yeah, we're not doing that. No, you. We have Dark Elves, which is slightly, you know, more acceptable, but only slightly. You know, on the tier list of things that I despise, number one thing that I despise is definitely Vampire Counts. Number two is all other undead. And number three is Elves, right? So, you go down the tier list, Dark Elves are like at the, you know, more despised end of Elves, right? So they're, I would say, like just after Tomb Kings, or maybe even comparable to Tomb Kings, because honestly Tomb Kings are kind of cool aesthetically. Like, they're one of the very iconic things about Warhammer Fantasy. So, yeah, I would say that probably on the tier list of things I despise, Dark Elves would be ranked as more despised than Tomb Kings. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So just between Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast. What factions would I recommend if you wanted to become an expert at multiplayer? Well, to start, I usually recommend Tomb Kings because they're relatively forgiving, and they also have a reasonably well-balanced roster. Like, they have artillery, light cavalry, sort of heavy cavalry, monsters, regular range units, you know, skirmish cavalry. They're undead, which means they're unbreakable, basically. Like, you don't have to worry about leadership, and they're not, like, people aren't going to abuse you as much as they will if you play a different undead faction, or like dwarfs or something. I typically recommend Tomb Kings. Yeah, so that, or Chaos, if you want to learn Rush. Chaos is kind of straight, actually, probably Norska is a bit easier. Norska is pretty straightforward. Yeah, man, you guys killed it. Sorry, I was hoping to participate, actually, in the tournament, but I screwed up my sleep schedule, so unfortunately I couldn't make it. But yes, you guys did a great job. wicked. It's tiring. It's like casting. People don't realize casting is actually really tiring. Like almost as tiring, if not more so, than playing, right? Because you have to be like focused in the moment always, and especially when things are happening quickly. Like it's a very fast kind of stream of consciousness, and it just takes a lot of energy out of you. Like I haven't done any scientific tests, but I read a study saying that like chess grandmasters burn something like 600 to 1,000 calories in a chess match, and I would guess that if you do like a 4-hour, 5-hour stream, that you're probably burning something like probably in that range, I would imagine. Just like for me, after a long stream, I feel like physically drained. Like I need to eat, my blood sugar's low, like I need to like drink water, dehydrated. Like it's a physical thing. Like it takes it out of you for sure. I mean, it's weird how just you're sitting in a chair and just talking, but it's tiring. It really is. Actually, I would say, I don't know. I'd have to go through the matchups. Tomb Kings, for me, only really have one bad matchup. Well, no, maybe they have like 3 now. I'd have to go through. Maybe I should do my tier list again. Not yet, but soon. Anyway. Now we have the Foul Dark Elves against the Foul Vampire Counts. So who's really winning? No one. No one's really winning here. And let's have a look here. We've got Morathi up in the air with 2 Black Dragons and a Death Hag on the ground with her Chill Blade. Got Witch Elves, Blades of the Blood Queen, some Dread Spears. So it's a very tight elite melee box. I guess that's a thing. On the Vampire Count's side, we've got a bunch of flying units. Who would have guessed? Is that a Von Karstein? Whoa. Sorry about that. Thought my phone was on silent. Yep. Actually, Blood Dragon. Okay, up in the air. We've got 2 White Kings, Vargeists, Blood Knights. Blood Knights. Good, good, good. Skeleton Warriors. Zombies in the center. Graveguard with great weapons. It's an interesting one. I was expecting a Von Karstein Lord to try and go air superiority here. Like Von Karstein Lord on a Hellsteed probably, and then double Terror Goose is what I was expecting. But instead going with the Blood Knight approach, and I mean, this Executioner here really should be a Halberd. It really should be a Halberd. Blades of the Blood Queen have such high stats that they're basically a Halberd. Yeah, the indirect healing on Tomb Kings is bonkers. That is true, and they're not as forgiving as other undead because they only have the indirect healing. Yeah. Oh man, I'm missing the action here. Morathi's trying to catch up with the Blood Dragon Lord. It looks like the Vargeists actually get a Dance Macabre, and they get a surround here on the Black Dragons. Yeah, they're actually getting a pretty good engagement on the Black Dragons, and then Morathi, oh man, this could potentially be really bad. She catches up with the Blood Dragon, but then he's going to pop the Helm of Discord here. So, this is it. Basically, this is the engagement. Looks like the infantry forces are advancing ever so slowly here, as is, you know, rules and such, but yeah, this is bad. This is bad already. The Vargeists actually got a really nice engagement here, and with the Dance Macabre and now the Helm of Discord following up, but Morathi also gets in Oh man, and that Soul Stealer was misplaced. That is really rough by Adam. That Soul Stealer definitely, it could have been absolutely devastating. Just wrecked all of these Vargeist and the Fellbats and everything, but instead the misplacement there is pretty rough. But this is basically it. This is the engagement right here. Like, I could look at the ground forces, but honestly, it doesn't matter that much. Like, the Blood Knights will be important regardless here. And at this point, the Blood Dragon probably wants to flee and try and get to these ground forces and start fighting them, you know, so that the Blood Knights can support against the Black Dragons, because this air engagement, although, you know, the Vampire counts traded pretty cost-effectively there at the end of the day, they still lost that air engagement. Marathi's still chasing. Marathi's fast enough that she can consistently catch up. Here come the White Kings. They're going to scout it out. Check out this forest box here. Blades of the Blood Queen looking very cool. They're probably like one of the only units on the Dark Elf roster that I actually like. Something about like the slate gray of their armor with the like crimson red. It's really, really nice looking. Oh, here's Dance Macabre on the... oh, man, he's going to take a chomp out of Marathi. Marathi's got to be careful with that kind of an engagement there. And these Black Dragons really need to peel off and get back to this engagement here. These Witch Elves... trying to decide. Honestly, if I were in Adam's position, I would just countercharge out. I mean, these Blades of the Blood Queen have a 26 charge bonus, 24 there. That's not insignificant, especially when you're trying to clear out that zombie chaff as quickly as possible. You might even be able to get up to like a 2 to 3 hit on them in terms of their HP. I'm trying to think how much. I think zombies have like. See if we can do math in my head right now. Probably not, but yeah, I don't think so. What's 7,500? Oh, that breath attack from the Blood Dragon. Oh, man, just absolutely wrecks the Blades of the Blood Queen. That's what I'm talking about. I would have had them in combat generating value this whole time. Adam's just kind of sitting and watching at this point. And, oh, man, Marathi gets chomped here. Helm of Discord active on the Blood Dragon. Yeah, the Black Dragons took their sweet time over there with the Bats and the Vargeist, and that's kind of come back to haunt Marathi in many ways. Yeah, that was a nasty one. She's going to be able to heal herself somewhat with that Soul Stealer, and that will deal some damage as well. But with Marathi, I mean, you can cut pretty aggressively with her. She could have been probably back here against the dragons a little bit earlier, but now finally these Hargoneth Executioners realize, like, oh, we can start blending these zombies. Like, I don't know why we're waiting. They're going to get in combat. Look at these White Kings, too. They're going to take damage. I mean, they'll be able to punch back at the Blades of the Blood Queen. But, yeah. Those have to be careful. These Blood Knights are looking for an opening, and the Blood Knights, if they come in here and get a really good charge, they can do a lot of damage to those Executioners. Now, this is potentially dangerous. If the Witch Elves, they're a little bit out of position right now, but if they were in position, they could potentially get an Enrage on this Blood Dragon, and that would be quite strong. Now, looks like we're going to have a Breath Attack from this Black Dragon. No, I thought for sure he was going to try and get a breath attack. Oh no, instead he goes this way, side-shotting. Very nicely done into those Graveguard with Great Opens. Does about half their HP and damage, but meanwhile Marathi is getting her face chewed off by a big, scary dragon with Dance Macabre. Man, Dance Macabre is such a good spell. Probably one of the best spells in the game, if I'm being honest. Marathi does survive, though, somehow. Gets another Soul Stealer over here. That's actually going to do pretty good damage to the White Kings. That's not a bad play. Try and get rid of the White Kings. You just need to use a Soul Stealer on something at this point, and Blood Knights actually would be the best target for that, but I don't really know. I don't think these dragons really have enough. I think they've taken too much damage at this point. The Blood Dragons, the Blood Dragon and the Blood Knights together, especially fighting with some of this infantry support here, will be able to just kind of grind it out and cycle charge the dragons whenever they come down to the ground. Or the Blood Dragon might just win in the air straight up. You know, that's also a possibility. Ooh, that White King gets decked. He's going to be forced into crumbling and probably disintegrate. You can see the dragons here, though. This dragon probably could have stayed, but oh, Marathi's coming. Oh, Marathi, what are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Marathi? Yeah, she's done. She is just absolutely done. I definitely would have waited for that Helm of Discord to wear off. But Dragon now using the breath attack. Actually a really nice breath attack into that blob there. Does a ton of damage to the zombies in the graveyard and so on. But Blood Dragon's coming for that Black Dragon. And honestly, the thing to do in a situation like this, if it were just the Blood Knights, and obviously discounting the fact that the Black Dragon's still on the field, the Blood Dragon rather, these Dark Elf Dragons, the Black Dragons, you would want to go after the Blood Knights directly, right? Because if you charge the Blood Knights, they're not going to be able to charge you, most likely. So what you would do then is just, you know, make sure you're near infantry support, but charge with the dragons down directly onto the Blood Knights, get a few attacks, and then screen out through some spear support, for example. That would be the way you'd kind of handle going after those Blood Knights. But yeah, you always want to think about, you know, in terms of win condition, and a really nice breath attack there as they just completely wreck. Oh man, she's dead. She died so hard. Oh no, she's still alive. I was going to say she died so hard, but she did die so hard, pretty much, to those Blood Knights. That was actually kind of impressive. I mean, I guess she only has 20 armor, so 10 armor, it makes sense. Yeah, I do think Adam had the build he needed to actually win here. I just think maybe a couple of misplays. And also in this matchup, you want to kite, like you against vampire counts, like as much as you can with factions that you can, you know, whenever you're able, you want to try and kite them, because if you're shooting them and not fighting them in melee, they're not getting any value, right? Because they have melee only. So in this matchup, you'll often see like Scourge Runners plus Dark Riders, and then basically you have elements to take out the Blood Knights and other mobile units when they come for you. The Doomfire Warlocks, the ROR Doomfire Warlocks, the Nexus Harvesters are very important here in case your enemy brings the Chill Geist or any other ethereal units. But in general, I would say, yeah, you want to try and kite. Like, I'd have to put together a build, but like 3 Scourge Runners, 4 Dark Riders with crossbows. Marathi, I actually don't hate to pick a Marathi here in the air, although she is somewhat at risk of getting swarmed if you don't have other elements up in the air, but yeah. Yeah, this is a matchup, I think, where you'd want to try and kite as much as you can. Because, like, here, Tank really didn't have that many mobile units. And, like, a bunch of Scourge Runners and Dark Riders continuously pressuring, again, the Blood Knights you want to go after first. And then the Blood Dragon, obviously, if you can get shots on it. But usually the Vampire Counts player will try and protect. But, yeah, Tank's a really, really good player. He's definitely, you know, a veteran. Well prepared. Here, though, Adam, he's relatively new, I think, but he's definitely pretty crafty. You can see there, he actually got a pretty good kind of surround on the Blood Dragon, and his ground forces aren't just continuing to fight. They're largely only fighting Chaff Undead, so it's really not going terribly for them. And, oh, that Scabscrath! Oh, that Scabscrath being responded to by a breath! Oh, man, both players just punching hard here. But Marathi gets terrified away. She is at her healing cap, basically, and yeah, she has nothing left. So she's going to get terrified away. Barely lost to that Blood Dragon, though. Blood Dragon's only got about 800 HP left, and he himself is crumbling, so... Man, this is a game. Adam has been able to keep this really close despite a few mistakes. And that's why I think that he really had the build he needed to win here. He just made a few micro mistakes, and ultimately that ended up costing him, but a great build for sure. ROR Harpies, I think they can be worth it for the extra gold, actually. If you have, in a matchup like this, where they might need to play it in a more attritional role, and just the healing allows them to fight for a little bit longer, against lower melee attack units especially. Like, if you think about them in this matchup, if they're supporting in the air, then ideally, like, you want them fighting the fell bats, right? Because fell bats don't have very good attack and weapon damage. They're not going to do that much damage to the harpies. The harpies, on the other hand, the RORs have good enough attack and weapon damage that they can hit the fell bats. I don't know, I think I might take the ROR harpies here if you are going for an air build, just as an extra screen unit. But yeah, Adam, I think they had the right build. Just a few key mistakes there. And Tank managing to play that very patiently and very well. Almost got himself killed a few times there, but the Blood Dragon, just such a strong character and great use of that Helm of Discord. Probably the best item in the game. Best generic item in the game, I'd say. GG. GG. That's, yeah, these are good players for sure. Let me go ahead and queue up who's next. Oh, hey, Happy. It's you next. I'll PM you the password. And then after Happy Puppy, we've got Valkanos. I will also PM you the deets, Valkanos. Oh, Valkonos, sorry. Okay. Ah, Adam doesn't have the DLC. Okay, I see. That is an issue. Let's go for... I could throw an absolute curveball to these guys, but I don't want to do that. So instead, we'll go for something just kind of regular. And let's do Storm Demon. This one has kind of a messed up deployment zone, but still a pretty good map. Alright. Alright. Tormentor Sword. Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, man. That's a really good... Because Tormentor Sword is really good. It's a hard snare, which in and of itself makes it, you know, super competitive, right? And it is a minus 24 melee attack debuff as well, which a lot of people don't remember. They think primarily of the snare, which you should, but the melee attack debuff is significant as well. Tormentor's, but Helm of Discord just lasts so long, and it's 24 defense and attack. Basically like yeah, like an AoE enfeebling foe, and it just lasts for so long. I don't know. I'd probably actually give it to Tormentor Sword, but just slightly. I do think Helm of Discord's probably second. You got me there. Totally forgot about that. Awesome. Oh, I don't have Streamlabs open, by the way. Get this open here. Alright, alright. Tormentor Sword is not is AoE as well. Tormentor Sword's AoE. It's just the duration's pretty short. Both of them are only around the character themselves. If they were actually castable, that would be ridiculous, but... Oh, Norska versus Chaos. This should be quick. And then both players are ready already, so this is going to be a fast one. That's what I like to see. Yeah, sorry guys, I did mean to fix the overlay yesterday, but I actually did not have time, so apologies about that. Let's see, maybe I can do something here. By kind of... There we go. And it's a little less ridiculously huge. Okay. Still covering the balance of power, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. Alright, here we go. Let's see what we've got here. Oh man, looks like Happy Puppy going all in with the mobility. Big Bird, Dragon Ogre, Shaggoth, plus an Exalted Hero up in the air. We've got Summoners of Rage as well. A whole bunch of Hounds and probably Horse Masters. Yep, Horse Masters. Hiding Norska can be tricky. I mean, it's possible, but it's very hard depending on the build that they bring. Tank hasn't got a ton of mobility here. He's got Beasts of Tashnar and the Norskan Ice Wolves. Now, granted... The Beasts of Tashnar, obviously, with their anti-large, going to be pretty strong here, but they're taking quite a bit of javelins right now. The Ice Trolls is an interesting one. There's no Lore of Fire here, which I think is a mistake. Lore of Fire, I think, is a must against Norska. Because Ice Trolls, fun fact, are 40% weak to fire baseline. You can, without using the oil flask, you can get these guys to 80% weakness to fire. It is possible. Just using, you know, Flammable plus Kindle Flame. And that in and of itself is hilarious because, you know, they'll just get absolutely wrecked. But the Hounds here are able to get into the Horse Masters a little bit and actually deal some nice damage. It's probably going to be a bit of time. I said it was going to be a quick game. It usually is if these two factions just rush into each other. But here, this actually could take some time. Happy Puppy's definitely going to need to be patient and try and do her best to just... keep this game extended. Basically, the longer it goes, the better for her. Norska tends not to play very well in an attrition melee grind, like if the melee fight takes too long. Like, they're good enough at counter-kiting, but I don't know. Right now, Happy Puppy's doing a pretty nice job going after the kind of targets that she needs to. And she could even, like, if there's a few really nice volleys on the Ice Trolls, then come in with Sarthrel, get a quick hit and run tear out and try and tear out the trolls away and then just chase them off with the Hounds. That's probably going to be the best bet at the end of the day for dealing with them. But this here is an interesting engagement because these Hounds don't count as large. The 4 units of Poison Warhounds for Chaos here actually would trade very nicely with the Beasts of Tashnar. And even just like this one Marauder here out by themselves, yeah, exactly right. Just rush everything in on them. quick hit and run attack and then immediately pull away before these other Ice Wolves come in. But it does look like the Ice Wolves, oh man, they might still get in and get that Frostbite attack on at least one of the units of dogs there, which is pretty unfortunate. But Summoners of Rage coming over. The Beasts, keep in mind, all Wolf units except for Wolf Riders and Norskin Ice Wolves also count as large, right? So the Summoners of Rage anti-large bonus will be pertinent there, but it looks like Happy Puppy instead decides to pull away from that engagement and just use the Hounds there as the other Hounds kind of countercharge into the one that was caught and actually trade very nicely back into those Ice Wolves. They don't have a whole lot of armor or melee defense, so the numbers of the Poison Warhounds will start to tell here. Only 36 models on Ice Wolves compared to 60 of most other Hound units, and it does look like, yeah, the Summoners of Rage threatening to commit to this engagement is enough to force those Ice Wolves to try and move off, which is pretty good in and of itself. Here, these Beasts of Tashnar end up getting caught. They do get some damage on the Horse Masters, but they are finished. So, man, Happy Puppy's doing a really nice job here with this. Oh man, this is potentially bad. The Summoners of Rage are caught now, and because of the ice effect, they're going to be slower than those Ice Trolls. Frostbite will keep them kind of engaged there. So, yeah, Happy Puppy now turning around and engaging. Oh man, this is nice. If she can get a rear charge here on these Ice Trolls to break their leadership. The Summoners of Rage also just do a ton of damage in melee to the Ice Trolls, just absolutely wrecking them. And yeah, just kind of picking away at these flanks, these various kind of, what is it, vulnerable, exposed units. Like over here, she ends up paying for it with the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth a little bit, is not quite able to rout the Norskin Ice Trolls. That Giver of Glory there, giving them a bit of extra leadership, was very, very key, and the Shaggoth took a bunch of damage there. That was pretty rough, but at the same time, this rush over on this side is pretty intense now. The Horsemen and the Marauders have been able to get in here and break up a lot of this. These Ice Trolls are straight up shattered. There's no chance of them coming back and contributing at all, so, man, this is really interesting. I have not seen a game like this in a long time, I have to say. Oh, and a final transmutation. Looks like Forces of Chaos are mostly going to get out of there. Unfortunately, it did tag the Marauder, or the Summoner's of Rage just barely, but they were able to mostly avoid taking that damage. Very nicely done. And again, finding these exposed trolls out here alone, overextended, using those mobile units to rush in and get a quick terror route is the name of the game here. But even still, these Summoners of Rage, they really need to get that Chain Lightning online. If they had that right now to unleash it on this giant unholy blob of infantry, that would be so strong. So strong. As it is right now, I haven't seen it go off yet, so I'm assuming it's still in the back pocket there. But, oh, yeah, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, man. Oh, yes. This wasn't maybe as juicy as it could have been, but it does roll straight through. Whole bunch of units there, taking out the Hunters. Just kind of sits on them for a moment. Oh, man. Oh man, that was pretty beautifully done. Didn't do quite as much damage as I was hoping it could, but yeah, still, at least it was used, right? And there's still a lot of heroes for Chaos. Really nice final transmutation here on the Norskin forces to try and finish off, you know, some of the various forces. Throg himself is taking quite a bit of damage now, and if he gets exposed and alone, then he will get routed off pretty quickly as well. He doesn't have the best leadership, and it does look like, yep, you can see the forces kind of concentrating here immediately, sensing that Throg is in trouble. He's taking a few hits there. Shaggoth also comes in. Fight or Die has been popped, though, so extra melee attack and leadership for all the Norskin units as they fight, and I don't think it's going to be enough to finish off Throg here, although the Chaos Forces did commit pretty heavily. The Hounds and Summoners pushing through, though, and getting on these Hunters, not allowing them to fire. Very nicely done. Man, wild game. Just absolutely wild game. We've had some really, really good games today. Yeah, Burning Head would have been something for sure. I almost wonder if you shouldn't trade. The Exalted Hero is pretty cheap here, but if you were to just trade him out for a Fire Sorcerer, just with a, like, maybe, I don't know, Flaming Sword of Ruin I think is kind of essential here because your units don't have fire damage baseline, but kind of peeling off now, trying to utilize those mobile units to chase routing stuff here, concentrating with the Hounds again, using Big Bird and so on, and you can see the monsters kind of disengage here. Yeah, this is pretty good stuff. Yeah, Happy is playing this really well. Yep, yep, it will be going up later. Yeah, it is. It's fun to. It is more fun to watch live. I definitely agree with that. But at this point, it's really. I don't know. The hounds are going to have a hard time just staying in sustained combat, and without the terror routes and being able to chase the marauders off, I think the marauders are just going to be able to sustain here, which is not something you would hear someone say too often. But unless Throg gets caught out like this, oh man, Throg takes a few huge attacks there from the Manticore. And now Big Bird's also coming in, getting some attacks. Plague of Rust on the War Mammoth there. A final transmutation being thrown, though, by the Norskin Metal Sorcerer, and that final transmutation will be the absolute nail in the coffin. That's going to finish off the Summoners of Rage. It's going to do a bunch of damage to the Exalted Hero. But man, oh man, what a game, guys. What a game. Round of applause once again. And Wicked, if you're still in chat, feel free to drop a link to, let me see if I can find it. I will definitely find this link for you guys for Happy Puppy's channel, because that was impressive. That was very, very impressive, I have to say. So let me go ahead and get here. Wow. Yeah, Big Bird's making his final stand, but holy cow, guys. Woo, GG indeed. And there is Happy Puppy's Twitch channel, so be sure to go on and give her a follow. She's been going super ham lately on tournament and multiplayer streams and tournaments and so on. So, yeah, very, very well played. Very, very well played. And I have not seen a Chaos Kite Norska build in a long time, and that almost worked. Like, that was really close. That was really, really close. Yeah, man. Round of applause for sure. Yeah, and if you misuse it, it's very expensive, so you definitely can misuse it. But wow, GG, guys. I'm gonna go grab a drink of water after that one. We'll get Valknos in here as soon as Happy Puppy is out. Sent him the details already, so we can do that. And here we are. Be right back, guys. Alright, sorry about that. Took a little longer than I thought. Mom called and just was chatting with her for just a second. But we're back now. Tank's score is updated. Yeah, it is much easier to play when you're not casting, that's true. I have a really hard time casting and playing at the same time, which is why I don't do very many live casts on my channel. It is a skill in and of itself to be able to play and cast at the same time. Legend streams all day and he's garbage at PvP. Well, he streams campaign all day, to be fair. He doesn't stream multiplayer all day. If he actually tried, he could probably be good at multiplayer. It just takes takes practice, takes kind of a different approach. Yeah, for me, I prefer casting separately because I can focus more on the cast and just give a better quality product, but... Looks like we got Coast versus Chaos. Tank this time coming in with the Dark Powers. If you guys are enjoying, don't forget to like the stream, helps with my analytics. We'll suggest the stream to more people, ideally. That's the voodoo, at least. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really watched Legends content, so I can't speak to it. Okay. And let's have a look here at the builds for the coast. We've got Carronades, and looks like Luther Harkon up in the air. Fleet Captain on foot, interesting choice. I don't know why, I've been seeing less and less of the crab mounts, and I really don't know why. The crab mounts are just, they're so important for the extra armor, HP, slightly faster. Only slightly, but they are faster. Pole arms, we've got some bombers, handguns, Lamprey's Revenge. Ugh, look at those faces. These things are nasty. Posing for the camera. Rumor mill for Total War Warhammer 2. I mean, most people seem to think it's going to be Beastmen and Wood Elves, potentially. I've been hearing that rumor a lot. I don't know. I don't know, because it's like the whole DLC for DLC thing, which a lot of people have touted that as a reason why they wouldn't. But for me, like, if you look at the Empire, for example, or the Greenskins in their latest DLCs, like, you can still own that and not own Game 1 and play that faction just only with that legendary lord, right? And you don't have access to the other regiments of renown and things. So if you apply that to the Wood Elves and the Beastmen, and even Norska potentially, I guess, as well, and Warriors of Chaos, but I think they're more likely to get updates closer to Game 3 or even in Game 3. But, yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, if you consider, like, if somebody had Game 2 and they bought only the Wood, let's say it's a Wood Elves versus Beastmen, hypothetically, Wood Elves versus Beastmen DLC, or like a Dwarfs versus Gavin or something, right? I guess that's another possibility. then, you know, you can still own it, and you can still play that DLC. You just wouldn't have any, you wouldn't have, like, Morker, you wouldn't have Kazrak or Malagor, and you wouldn't have the Regiments of Renown either from Game 1, like the Eye of Morslib. And how about that Burning Head? I'm just totally talking through that, but wow. Just wow. I mean, that killed the Black Spot, which is actually a decently high-value target. And 155 kills on that Chaos Sorcerer from that one Burning Head. Yeah, who cares about the vampire counts, though? They literally have more lords than anyone already. So I don't think they're going to get a DLC, mostly because they have, like, 6 legendary lords, right? Let's see. Gorst, Kemler, Manfred, Vlad, Isabella, 5. Am I missing someone? I feel like I'm missing someone. I might be missing someone. Anyway, 5 legendary lords. Like, I don't think they're going to get a DLC. I think they're going to prioritize the factions that have, like, 2 to 3 legendary lords and try and get them up to 4, is my guess. But right now, this Vampire Coast Force is getting pretty well shreked. These Chaos Spawn coming in here, the Chariots coming in here, the Spawn also pushing through. The Bombers are getting some damage in, but this relentless assault here, starting with that Burning Head, man, and another brutal Burning Head going off. Kolek has been pretty much protected from gunfire the entire time because of the positioning and everything here, so it's been a little bit rough, to say the absolute least. It's been a little bit rough for the Vampire Coast trying to make a go of it here. But now, Kolek is in the back line. Even despite all of that roughness, it's still even on the balance of power, and that's largely because Harkon's still alive. And here comes the Hornswaggle, with the Lamprey's Revenge engaging. Harkon is going to dive down. He'll get some attacks in here, and this is a bad situation for Kolek. He did use the standard die to help counter the melee defense portion of that, but he does still have his armor speed significantly debuffed, and Star Crusher currently active, putting him up to 844 weapon strength. Oh man, absolute ridiculousness, stacked with Cascading Fire Cloak. How about that? But still, Kolek is getting absolutely wrecked here by Harkon, and the crabs supporting these halberds are also getting some pretty cost-effective hits in here. But will he actually just straight up destroy Harkon before he dies? No, he misses that last attack animation, and Kolek is out of there. So just like that, the Vampire Coast can try and stabilize, start to turn things around a little bit. They've got some bombers and some handguns kind of holding the center pocket. These bombers definitely want to turn and fire here into these marauders, or these marauders. Right now they're just kind of standing and watching, but yeah, the sorcerer now gets absolutely wrecked by Harkon. Harkon's still got plenty of healing cap space left, so he doesn't, as long as he doesn't play too aggressive. I don't think there's even anything that has enough DPS to finish him off, except maybe this giant horde of horsemen, which he is currently flirting with. Probably wants to try and stay away from them, but honestly, Valkanos here, just because Harkon's an absolute champ, was able to sustain that assault relatively well, and let's see if he can pull things back here. Invocation on Harkon, keeping him healed up and keeping him from getting completely killed by the Marauder Horseman there. He's going to screen through those gun bats, screen through the crabs. Breath attack, it went off. It definitely was a breath attack that went off. These bombers now, at least these guys are in range, so they can start throwing there. Yeah, the Marauder Horsemen, now they're just going to have to try and maneuver as best they can to get at high-value targets. This Chaos Chariot also being alive is pretty helpful. I can kind of come in here and wreck, but the Lamprey's Revenge are going to be tough to take out. Currently fighting all these Chaos Spawn, and oh, side fireball from the top rope. The Chaos Sorcerer is not out of this yet. He says, I'm here, I'm hot, I am on fire, and you taste a bit of that spiciness, and Harkon tasted it. Some damage to him. Harkon has a lot of magic resistance, typically, but he actually did not choose to bring it. For whatever reason, I see people not bringing the magic resistance item on Harkon, maybe just because it's, you know, that much extra cost on him, but it's so worth it, because it helps against a lot of things, honestly. It really does. Excuse me. At this point, though, the Lamprey's Revenge are really going to be the kind of thing that stabilizes. A lot of these zombie infantry are just about done for. The gun bats are also firing still. Yeah, they're trying to focus the chariots, I think, probably. Yes. With the chariots going down, I don't know if it's just like horsemen and infantry left. The horsemen, once they run out of ammo, which they eventually will, they're not going to be enough to fight Harkon in melee. Nice little breath attack there. Terrorgeist breath attack really doesn't do much against infantry. Probably just even use it against the horsemen. But is this where Tank falls? The pistol of Harkon. Harkon coming over, cackling at this sorcerer, saying, something like that. I don't know. That's what I imagine Harkon sounding like. It is kind of what he sounds like in Game 2, to be honest. And Harkon is being hotly pursued by the horsemen? Horse masters. Yeah, horse masters. Oh man, are they actually going to engage him in melee and keep him on the ground? No, they're not quite able to catch him. And then the Lamprey's Revenge pushing up into this Marauder blob. We'll get in close for this. As the Marauders make their final stand. Another really, really good game. Man, what a stream today, guys. I hope you guys are having a good time. It's a great way to honor the holiday. Happy 4th of July to all of you Americans out there and to everyone else in the world. Because, you know, we love to share. And yeah, that's going to be it for Tank. Wow, how about that? Valkanos able to weather the assault there, the relentless assault, fire and brimstone, and take out the win. And just that one overextension with Kolek, I'm very surprised how quickly he went down to those crabs and to Harkon. But that's Harkon's power. He's probably one of the best lords in the game. I might even say he's better than Noctilus now. That was a game. That was a game. Another round of applause. Chosen would be good here. Yeah, shielded Chosen I love in this matchup. For the reason that they can even kill crabs in melee because they have good enough AP and good enough defensive stats. They just grind, win. So yeah, Chosen, shielded Chosen, I am a fan of bringing like two in this matchup. Like, you bring the Mirror Guard as kind of a cheaper third shielded Chosen, and then you bring, yeah, 2 shielded Chosen as a nice, like, Triari backline almost, right? So, let's go ahead and get him in. Valverde's in, and next up on the list, we have F-Pod, so I'll get him queued up. All right. Chosen just died to bombers. Well, that's why you have other things like Burning Head and, you know, other ways of taking out the bombers, or chariots, or... Yeah, that's why you just... As long as you don't YOLO your Chosen into bombers, you should be okay, basically. That was a good run, Tank. Definitely a good run. Some really good games there, man. Really, really good games. That was great to watch. We'll go ahead and get this fixed up over here. And then over here, we now have... Valkonos. Which one is it? There we go. Keep that. And he is coming with a fresh score of 1. And let's go ahead and get the map changed up to... let's do Mouth of the Pass. Another map I've been kind of on a kick of lately. Yeah. I actually think, rather than the chariots, if you would have upgraded one of your spawn to the weird spawn, just because they, with the armor sundering, they trade better against crabs, and then they also help your, like, your marauder horsemen or horse masters, and even the marauder infantry will trade better against the crabs, because ultimately, like, if you could have gone through the crabs, like, at that point, if it's just Harkon by himself, then you can probably deal with him. But yeah, like, I think just getting the weird spawn in for one of your spawns would have been a pretty good play. The Kamikaze Squigs, I think, are slightly worse than Bloated Corpses because they have less HP. But comparable. Ugh. Alright. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Ghost is one of those factions that, you know, you can kind of abuse them in the same way as dwarves, but not exactly, because they have some other tools, and they're undead, obviously. But dwarfs are better at shooting than Empire Coast, definitely. Oh, yeah, I wish Wood Elves were less reliant on Way Watcher's ranged power. Right now, they're just oftentimes, people just rely so heavily on that, and you don't necessarily always have to, but many times you pretty much have to. You actually want to win. Playing Wood Elves without Way Watchers is kind of like playing vampires without Lore of Vampires. It's just harder than it needs to be. Yeah, you can also, people forget, but Spiteful Shot is a thing. Like, you have spells to increase your accuracy. A lot of people don't even bring Spiteful Shot too, but like against Bretonia, for example, if you're worried about Green Knight, or if you just want magic damage in general, Spiteful Shot can be a way to get that. Especially if you bring like Silostra, you might as well take it anyway. It's pretty cheap to have. A lot of people forget about Lore of Deeps, but it's actually pretty good. Like, Vangeist's Revenge is really nice, and it also looks amazing. Hawk Riders are pretty good. I think, actually, I might feature Hawk Riders on my underrated units, series if I can get a good replay of them. They're pretty hard to use, but they are very, very good. Right hands. How about that? 109 people, almost 50 likes, guys. That's a pretty good ratio. Thank you all for coming out. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've got still a few more people to get through. And yeah, I think we are going to be able to get through the reserves today. Dr. Nick up next, I believe, is Gabo Slayer. And then we got Lags, King of the Dead, and Ice Power on reserve. And then I'm probably going to continue streaming today after this. I'm trying to decide what I want to do. Because it's a holiday. I want to celebrate by sharing it all with you. And I don't know exactly what form that's going to take yet, but What do you guys think? Maybe I'll put up a poll. Let me make a straw poll real quick. For those of you guys who are here, we're not done yet. We still got probably at least 4 more battles of this, but okay. I'm making this straw poll real quick, and these guys are already off. Probably should be commentating here. Let's see. Got Heinrich Kemmler on the field, which already makes this a winning Vampire Counts build in my eyes. Makes it more acceptable and less egregious. We do have a Mortis Engine, Vargolf, 2 Banshees, which is kind of bad. Crypt Horrors, which have kind of come back in vogue as a nice mass blocker unit for Vampire Counts. Also got some Blood Knights and Hounds. Interesting choice. I like this a lot, though. A Giant. You don't see Giants often for Norska, but this is a matchup where I do think actually the Giant can be a really nice tool. Also got some Marauder Horsemen. Fireball, which is going to come in and do a lot of damage to that, oh, maybe not so much, the Mortis Engine. Armored Skin Wolves, we've got Berserkers. And yeah, is that Wolfric on a Chariot? Very interesting choice. Very interesting builds on both sides here, honestly. Okay, and Okay, now the engagement's getting underway. You can see the Berserkers getting into the line here. They're doing a lot of DPS, but they are going to take a lot of damage as well. The Giant, though, being front and center. Oh man, this Mortis Engine does not want to be in this fight. Same thing with this, all this Vargolf's getting absolutely shredded, and a beautiful Flaming Sword of Ruin coming in as well, giving fire damage to all these units, and oh man, looks like that attack actually didn't connect on the Vargolf there. I'm surprised. I was thinking Giant must be stepping on these Blood Knights or something else that are in the way. He's not actually getting attacks on the Vargolf, which is unfortunate. That could have been a nice little timing push there, but wisely done. By Valkanos, he peels out the Mortis Engine to come fight in this engagement where there's not that big a heavy monster presence, but the Chariot here, Wolfric going after the Hounds in the back, and look at that charge with the anti-infantry bonus, actually does a pretty good amount of damage. Likewise, these Berserkers are just chewing up this flank, man. They just straight up won against these Crypt Horrors and Zombies. That's how good a DPS these guys have. 53 attack is ridiculous. By far the best DPS, kind of dual hand weapon DPS unit in the game. Vargolf is pressuring, though, and Wolfric's kind of caught up on these Blood Knights a little bit, but oh man, that point-blank fireball to the face of this Sorcerer who's basically met his match already to these Blood Knights, but that was a nice little spiteful fireball. I like that a lot. Banshees are an interesting pick because of Famir. Now, he didn't bring any Famir here, which I think is maybe a mistake. I think one Famir, you could trade one of these Armored Skin Wolves out for one Famir, and that would kind of give you some extra insurance against Ethereals. Krell has been summoned right in the middle of all of these Skin Wolves, which is not the best time for him, but the Mortis Engine is going to have to collapse now, and this surround might be enough to break leadership of some of these units. Likewise, Wolfric is pulling away. I almost called him Wolfmar. That was not correct at all. wrong Chariot Lord. Yes. Ice Wolf Chariot? No, I wish. I wish it was an Ice Wolf Chariot. Actually, if Sirth Ek were to ever become a Legendary Lord, if anyone's from CA is listening, let's do it. Come on. Sirth Ek, Legendary Lord. Come on, let's make it happen. But For sure, he would need an Ice Wolf chariot mount, and that would be unique for him, because right now, none of the lords have Ice Wolf chariots. They just have regular chariots. Did I say Ice Wolf chariot? I don't know. My mistake if I did. Anyway, the Banshees are still fighting. Giants also still fighting. Norskin forces are getting pretty thin on the ground, though. The attrition game has not been kind to them, and just not being able to fully take out a lot of those high-value regenerating targets. Like, they did a lot of damage, just couldn't quite finish units off, and that ends up being the difference here. I almost wonder, like, that one Famir, I don't think it would have been enough, because, like, you get rid of the Banshees, and how much does that really start to scale things? I'm not really sure, but it's an interesting matchup for sure. A lot of people would consider this to be in Norska's favor, but I really don't think so. I think it's even, if not in Count's favor, actually. But Brutes of the Hound are going to continue to fight to the end, but Valkanos picks up his second win there. He's coming for Tank's title. Yeah, Wood Elves are by far the most micro-intensive faction. I don't know about by far, but definitely are. Oh, they know already. They know my feelings about Sirtha Ek. I actually, way back in like February, I recorded the voice for a video. I never actually made the video. Might redo it now. About like my pitch for Sirtha Ek, Legendary Lord, and I'm pretty sure I sent it to TA Rep. For the community, like the community rep guy who my contact. Anyway, okay. As we get the next competitor lined up, let's go ahead and you guys, you want to vote on what we're going to play next to celebrate Independence Day. I've given you guys a few options there of some, probably going to do some grand strategy single-player campaign of some kind. You guys can vote. Yeah, the War Shrine for extra leadership, and the fire damage, too, that the War Shrine gives is actually really nice. That Giver of Glory gives extra melee attack and fire damage, which is super pertinent in this matchup. You don't necessarily have to take Flaming Sword of Ruin. Yeah. Yeah, that's why. Giants are decent. Giants are still a little slow. It's the 5th already for you. It's just about 4:15. Anyway, let me go ahead and get the map lined up. Let's go with some fun. Let's throw aside. I wanna throw a weird map. At the same time, I kind of don't, so we'll just go boring and go Tower of Hoev. Cat's looking at me. What's up, kitten? Gonna come over here? No? Probably just want lunch, huh? I'm gonna go feed my cat. I'll be right back. And I have returned. Don't forget to vote in the straw poll for what we'll be playing next, for those of you guys who want to join. Be playing, not done yet, we still got some more games to get through, but what I'll be playing next, I've got a few different ideas for kind of patriotic American holiday-themed campaigns we could run. Let me know. Yeah, the thing about Giants, there's a few things about Giants actually. One of them is they actually have really good leadership, which is something that's very important, obviously, against just for a monster in general, it's important, and against factions like vampire counts, especially. I mean, granted, they cause terror, so it's not like they're going to get terror routed, but just in general, having that high leadership anchor can be very important. Their leadership being high and their weapon strength being so high for the cost is really what makes them so good. Like, they hit super hard. They have great attack, great damage, and great leadership, and that's kind of their three defining stats. Like, yes, they're slow, their armor sucks, melee defense is kind of okay, it's not great. Really, it's about the damage. Presence, the leadership presence. Yeah, Giants, that is their weakness, is missiles, definitely, but in many matchups where you can screen the missiles, and Norska especially having good mobile tools, pretty much all of the factions that can take Giants have good mobile tools to be able to screen for them. It's just a matter of, you know, getting at those skirmishers. Yeah, the slowness and size. You say size, but it's interesting that their actual hitbox, their melee hitbox is not that big, right? Because their footprint is small. Like, it's a big hitbox for missiles, yes, because it's a really tall model, but it's kind of like, similar to a tree man, it's a very, like, narrow and tall, like a skyscraper kind of, you know? And that means actually the units in base contact with it, if you're thinking from a tabletop perspective, units in base contact with it when it's actually in melee is less than something like a dragon, for example, or any of the lizardmen monsters for that matter. Yeah, you say the hitbox, the size. Yeah, the size is an interesting one. Yeah, it's horrible for ranged, but it's good for melee. Okay, and let's get this faded out. Norska, this time from Valkanos, he's got Throg leading the way with Shaman Sorcerer, Lore of Metal, Marauder Hunters, Horsemen, Champions, Marauders with great weapons. Interesting, just kind of a mix of infantry. I almost said, is this an auto-gen, but no, it's not. We got Ice Wolves here, Beasts of Tashnar in a kennel. Love that. Marauder Horsemen. Interesting. I've been seeing a lot of these Throwing Axe Hunters recently, and I'm not saying they're a bad unit. They're decent for sure, but And I guess you take them because of the armor piercing here, rather than taking the javelins. I'd have to calculate the damage. It probably is pretty similar. I think the throwing axes are better, but... One thing about throwing axe infantry units, this is true to a degree of the cavalry, but not quite so much, but both the dwarfs and the Marauder Hunters infantry do a ton of missile damage for infantry. I think the dwarf rangers go up into something like 40 AP or something, if I'm remembering right, per axe thrown. Think about the Ulthrar's raiders who have a good refire rate, and I mean, yeah, their range isn't good, but if you get up close, ooh, man, they will wreck your face. Absolutely wreck your face. So, yeah, it's a good one. I mean, you do have Plague of Rust here, though, right? So, I don't know, maybe you do take the javelins. I guess there's not any cost difference. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? I think, actually, the throwing axe hunters might have better attack stats, too, because they're actually dual-wielding axes. I think they have 36 attack, which is honestly pretty good. Yeah, decent melee combatant. Yeah, their melee defense kind of sucks. So does their armor, but 35 speed's also okay. 28 weapon damage, okay. That 36 attack. Javelin Arc of Fire, yeah. Yeah, I'd have to do a comparison side by side. I want to say the range is slightly longer, although I could be wrong on that. I think maybe they're the same. I don't know. One of you guys can maybe pull up the game and look at the menu for me. I want to say the cost and the range is the same. And you'd have to calculate. I don't know what proportion of the bonus versus large on javelins is armor piercing. I think it might be slightly different than most, where the anti-large I think could be almost all armor piercing. Could be wrong about that, though. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, but see, Great Rainman, against the vampire counts, you eliminate one of those things you just said, right? Because they don't die easy to ranged against vampire counts, because there's no ranged. So automatically, that means that is a matchup where you should at least consider them, right? But quick hit and run charge from those horsemen, they took a lot of damage, but they were able to screen nicely and allow those marauders to get a decent charge in there and get some good damage, trading very cost effectively with those Saurus. Meanwhile, in the mainline fight, looks like we're going to have a Burning Head. Ooh, the Fire Slan. I didn't even see this. A Fire Slan is a cheeky pick against Norska, and I really, really like it a lot. There's no direct fire synergy units here, but regardless, just, you know, fire damage in general going to be good against Norska. Solar Engine, or even the Umbral Tide unit of Salamanders, I think can be a pretty good pick here. If you actually go very mobile with the Lizardmen, with like a fire shooting build, it can be decent, but... here, Skink's getting pressured in the back line. I mean, they can probably just stand and fight against those Ice Wolves. But yeah, man, that front line just got absolutely wrecked by the fire and light of the Slan. That's going to make a pretty big difference, and now the Famir are matched up against Temple Guard, which is not great for them. They are going to lose hard in that engagement. I mean, I say lose hard. They will do some damage in return, but Final Transmutation here on this blob of Lizard Cavalry will destroy a lot of the models. There's about half HP damage to many of them, but they did come in and destroy the ranged aspect of the Norscan army here. Norska, good at hunting monsters, but when the monsters are already in your face and angry and screaming and, you know, full of teeth and scales, it's not a good time. Definitely not a good time. Throg not having a great time here. Nice blast from the Slan. Oh man, this game is gorgeous. Can we all just take a minute to appreciate how awesome this game is? So grateful that I get to do this for all of you guys. Temple Guards following up, and I think this is going to be a pretty decisive win for the Lizardmen. One of the quicker games we've seen today, but man, that's how it can go as Norska when you take a rush build and your opponent has a good counter for you. that was a beaut. Excuse me. I promise it's not the but yeah, right, Amexon Barbs are such a sad unit. Like, they're not the worst, because Razordons themselves are not, they're pretty good actually now. And so just having the extra stats and refire rate for the cost can be good, but like the poison, really? Really? You gave him poison? Yeah, anyway. Looks like Valkanos falls there after just 2 wins. F-Pod striking forth, claiming the crown with the Lizard Folk. Very well done. That Fire Salon, man, that one burning head was devastating to that infantry line. 116 kills. Saurus traded very well also, so good stuff. Good stuff. Look. There we go. And who's next? Okay, let's get this going here. Give me just a second. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Alright, so far Marcus Wolfhart campaign is winning, which does make sense on the straw poll. Again, for those of you guys just joining, if you want to vote on what I'm going to stream next, after I take a break at the end of this, there's a poll there where you can vote. Most likely we're going to be doing a Marcus Wolfhart campaign, but yeah. Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, I realize at times it is overlapping. It's annoying. Right, the Americas campaign in Med 2 is a lot of fun. I was thinking I would do an Apache, like one of the Native Americans for sure. Feel like that's appropriate. Civ 6 America would be fun too, though. The new Civ 6 update is really good. I haven't been playing it on the channel at all. I've been playing it a bit on my own time, but man, that game is super addictive. It's so good. It's Gavin versus Wood Elves. This is an interesting matchup. It's a very interesting matchup. Yeah, banning Norska and Beastmen. Norska is one that I think you can maybe win, but that's hard for sure. Norska and Beastmen, the like most mobile attack factions. That's what Gavin have the hardest time dealing with, in many people's eyes. So, I mean, I don't know. Beastmen, you can sometimes outgrind the Beastmen. You go with the grind style build. And yeah, I mean, Plague Monks are a thing. Want to try EU4? You know, I have EU4, and I have been meaning to teach myself to play it, but that game, I think I have a patron who plays EU4. I might have him teach me if he's down. Civ 6 is fun. It's a lot of fun for sure. Even make you angry. Yeah, they are pretty frustrating to play against at times. the summons, oof, summons definitely. It's like, oh, there's still more rats? How is there still more rats somehow? Yeah, the Bell's super strong. It's probably one of the Skaven's strongest units. The Skaven's strongest units. There we go. Okay. Here we are in game. Toothgrass Hill is the battleground. Wood Elves versus Skaven. We've got Dryads in the front line. It looks like Orion. Nice. Oh, is this an all Vanguard? It is. It is all Vanguard Wood Elves. How about that? Going to be taking the high ground immediately. We've got Glade Riders, Wild Riders, Orion, Branch Wraith, and Dryads. For the Skaven, looks like we've got Rat Ogres. Who is this? Who's that? That is, Skrulk? Yes, looks like Skrulk. Yep. Skrulk, we've got mortars here. Clan rats with shields in the front line, interesting. The shields are probably a good call against Wood Elves. Yeah, rat ogres, gutter runners with poison would get shredded by shredded by swift shiver shards. Try saying that 5 times fast. There's a tongue twister for you. Oh man, but it's a good build for sure. It's a good build. The vanguard of elves in a rush is going to be quite strong here. We'll see if the mortars have enough time to get the work done. Rat ogres are definitely the main threat to like the wild riders and such, but if he can get through them... Oh, there are the, what, Ixis triads? No, just regular triads? No, Ixis triads, yeah. You gotta take the Ixis triads. Tretch. I know people who actually really like playing with Tretch. But yes, that's the whole point though, is he's supposed to be forgotten. Like that's literally his lore, is that you're supposed to forget about him and then he jumps out of nowhere and stabs you in the back, right? Like that's literally his lore. So I feel like it's appropriate that that's his actual role in the game and in the community. Oh man, tail slashers. I don't know why flaming swords just makes these Skaven look that much more menacing. Like they're here to burn your house down. Oh no. Yeah. Man. Artists in this game do such a good job. Really have to hand it to them. Constantly. Just amazed. Oh yeah, the Ixis triads too. Look at these lads. All ready to go. They see the foul Wood Elves. Popping those concealment bombs. And yeah, it looks like the Blade Rider's kind of just maneuvering, not really wanting to commit too heavily there. The mortars will start firing into the Dryads, doing some damage to them. The issue with this all-Vanguard Wood Elves army is it really doesn't have a lot of sustain power. So you can get out-attritioned quite easily. But, I mean, there's no bell here, I guess, so how bad can it actually be? Skaven with fire seems dangerous. Unless they wanted to turn into naked mole rats. That is very true. Blade Riders maneuvering around the side here. They're going to try and screen and not get hit by those rat ogres if they can. They did manage to shoot that gap, though. And the more they can fire at the rat ogres... Oh, man. Oh, that fire at will, though. Still firing at the clan rats. That's painful. That volley would have been really nice into the rat ogres. Nice point-blank damage, but here comes Horn of the Wild Hunt. The Wild Riders have arrived. The charge is here. Skaven absolutely doing friendly fire. Just not even hitting the Dryads on that volley at all, but... Oh yeah, Wild Riders will take quite a bit of damage from those mortars, but they just need to break through this pocket as quickly as possible. We did get some summons, though, to keep that tide from turning in the Wood Elves' favor. Keep the Vermin tide going. See what I did there? And these Rat Ogres also just kind of, for the time being, passive. And that does allow the Poison Wind Mortars to get wrecked pretty well. The Skaven have a lot of their kind of hard-hitting melee units over on this side getting kited away. I mean, Tail Slashers that will hard counter Dryads in many ways. But the Wood Elves being able to get back and disrupt a lot of these units. But even still, the Skaven are starting to pull ahead slightly on the balance of power just because all those Dryads got wrecked without really doing a lot in terms of value. The mortars, though, getting all shut down here is very important. We've got, yeah, that unit's offline. This unit now getting caught by these Blade Riders is offline as well. And Orion is a Chad, too. So to keep in mind, he can win this not quite by himself, but pretty close. Not really sure what he's doing there. Just giving some menacing words to the, the Skaven boy there, but... The Rodent Teller's coming forward. Good old Skrulk man. Gonna go ahead and throw something over here. No, that's Shield of Thorns, it looks like. Actually, sure, yeah. Oh, Earthblood. And somehow that only hit the one unit, too, which is a little bit unfortunate because of the placement of the center mass of the unit there. But, oh, nope, looks like the Dryad was going to throw Penumbral Pendulum, but actually got knocked over. The Dryad's just about to get assassinated right here, which is not great. Orion probably needs to come try and bail her out. Dryad's a she, right? I think so. A branch, bro. I guess it's a branch wraith, but a branch wraith is really just a magical dryad, right? Anyway. The Plague Monk summons have been really nice here, and just the continuous rats pushing and pushing. The tide keeps going, and this is what I was saying. This all Vanguard Wood Elf army, it's good, but it doesn't have the best sustainability. Really, Orion's your best kind of anchor for sustainability. All of your other units are relatively squishy. But you do get some Wild Riders into these ranged units here, these Gutter Runners. They are Gutter Runners, though, and especially with Poison, they're not going to immediately die to the Wild Riders, at least not too badly, and they'll be able to let those other units kind of blob in here and start to trade well. Those Rat Ogres, actually, I was expecting them to do a bit more damage, but they're really not doing a lot. They must not have got that great of a charge. Rat Ogres are a unit that very much rely on their charge bonus. Oh man, Hounds of Orion, danger close there on the Wild Riders and the Glade Riders. It is going to do some friendly fire there, but Orion comes over for a Terror Route, trying to get a rear charge. Yep, those Terror Route, those those Rat Ogres, and despite what the balance of power may have you think, I think this is pretty much ready for the Wood Elves to take. I mean, in many ways, it's going to be tough still. There's still these ROR clan rats here. You've got the Ixchus Triads as well, and Skrulk himself is an absolute just gross, disgusting menace. But yeah, I mean, the balance of power not looking great for the Wood Elves, but all things considered, if they can utilize their mobility to chase a lot of these mobile units off, there's routing units rather, and just continue to keep up that pressure, like these mortars right here, they've got to go. I don't know why those Glade Riders didn't just charge them, but yeah, those mortars got to get shut down as quickly as possible. And the Dryads all returning from routes, definitely very helpful here. Nice charge, hit and run attack from the Wild Riders there, and the Glade Riders now come and collapse on those mortars, silencing them. Orion's on the run, and he'll be able to keep running. The mass of the Skaven is such that he can just continue to wade through them like they're water. And the Triads summon wears off there. I don't think Skrulk has many more summons in his back pocket, so this is a situation where the Wood Elves start to become more and more dangerous as the game goes on. And the sort of the Skaven attrition has itself run out of steam in many cases. Not 100% sure. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to see the spells. It looks like Skrulk does still have some Clan Rat summons, going to pull that up, keep things going in his favor. And as long as Orion doesn't try and stand and fight the assassin for too long, he'll be fine. That Cloak of Isha will keep him alive. I almost wonder, though, I don't know that the assassin necessarily has quite enough weapon damage to really finish Orion off once that Cloak of Isha is active. Yeah, because he's got the damage resistance and everything. I'm not really sure. The Dryads fighting in melee here is really not going to be enough. The Glade Rider is going to have to use up the last of their ammunition here. Cobbo Slayer trying to be very patient, but might run into an army loss situation, unfortunately. And the two heroes, I don't know, at some point Orion's going to have to fight them. Just a matter of getting rid of as much of these supporting units as you can, but I don't know. A little bit of a heal there on some of those cav. Orion comes in and punts Skrulk. Nice punch right in the face there. I have to say, one of my favorite thumbnails I've ever made, and I'm one of the... You guys may have noticed I've had a new thumbnail style on the channel recently. I still am going to do some in-game screenshots, because some of my favorite thumbnails in the past, like, there's some pretty iconic ones. Like, I was about to mention, there's one of Orion punching a Skaven assassin in the face, like, so hard that he is knocked off of his feet. That is probably one of my top 5 favorite thumbnails I've ever made. Doom Wheel or Doom Flares would have been super helpful, absolutely. Nice Earthblood to keep the cavalry sustained there, and I think Gobbo Slayer, again, despite what the balance of power may have you think, I think it's a little bit falsely inflated because of the heroic units. But I think Gobbo Slayer has a way to win. He's getting his way back in this game. Doing a great job using that mobility. And man, after Tank got unseated, it's just been an absolute scrap for the throne here. And let's see here. Checking a few things. Oh, yeah. Here it comes, the final engagement. Orion now is fighting the two Skaven heroes, and honestly, balance power says it's even, but this is really done. With the supporting elements here, these Skaven heroes are going to get individually isolated, and then Orion can kind of like cycle charge them almost. But oh man, another Clan Rat summon coming in. Try and break some of these units, or at the very least provide some kind of stability. But yeah, already the assassin gets wrecked. And Skrulk himself is actually getting hit pretty consistently. I mean, Glade Riders have decent enough stats, and even with the melee attack debuff, but here comes Orion! Oh man, just bare chest. Ready. That bow on his back, spear forward, right in the face of Skrulk. Oh yeah, just giving him the business. I'm still a little sad that Orion doesn't get to use the bow on his back. He just throws his spear instead. It's like, why do you even have that, dude? Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a sign of office or whatever. But, yeah, that is a great game by Gobbo Slayer. He was able to, despite the attritional nature of FPod's build, he was able to get really good engagements there. And those Wild Riders, man, super key. 102, 154, 103 kills. Chevrons to go around, obviously, with the Horn of the Wild Hunt synergizing. I think they get a close to 100 charge bonus, I want to say. What do they have, like 60 base plus 50% from... Yeah, it's something like 90 to 100 charge bonus once you account for the Frenzy as well. It's really strong, so obviously would expect them to do a lot of damage, but they are glass cannons in many ways. Why you definitely want to take the shielded ones in this matchup. It's not always worth it for the Wood Elves to take the shielded variant, because you often have to cost min-max so specifically. But certainly in matchups where you might face a lot of like low-tier range fire especially, shields can help, and the melee defense helps too against, again, low-tier units especially. Yeah, great game. Man, we've had some games today, guys. Yeah, see you later. See you later, Rubber Duck. Thanks for joining. Mel Gibson never dies. Yeah, man, he is a true Chad of the Eight Peaks. Alright, I think we've got one more on the list. Let me go ahead and check here. I know where it is. Let's see about King of the Dead and or Ice Power. Alright, so it does look like King of the Dead's going to be joining. Get him in here. And we'll go to... let's see here. Let's do... Plane of Spiders. Oh, that's right. It's just Plane of Spiders, not the Plane of Spiders. Yeah, it looks like Ice Power had to drop as well, so this will be the last game then for today. And that will take us to the end. Going ahead and updating this. Looks like we've got, yeah, now 12 votes for Marcus Wolfhart, so it does look like that's probably going to be the case. Unless anyone else wants to vote, don't forget, if you want to have a say in what I'm going to stream later to continue celebrating this glorious Independence Day, there is the straw poll. You guys can vote on what campaign I'm going to do. And yeah, we'll go from there. Oh man, if they gave the Total War, like honestly, if they gave the Total War team the time to create like a full feature-length film, they could probably do something pretty good, considering how good the trailers have been. Fire rockets, yeah, we're probably going to end up doing a Marcus Wolfhart campaign. I also need to check on mods to see if they're updated for the beta or not. Alright, Greenskins this time. I haven't actually seen any Greenskins yet, which surprises me. I haven't been seeing Greenskins that much lately. I don't know if people just got burned out on them because of the fungi or what, but they're still a super strong faction. I'm with you there, Rain Man. I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel. I don't really like superhero stuff in general, though, so I don't know if I'm the best person to say. But yeah, in a way, art. But at the same time, for me, I kind of view it in the opposite way. Like, because of everything that's been going on, I think there's more of a need for people to get some release and have some happiness and just celebrate, I don't know, things. Realize that we're all on this boat together, right? Alright, and here we go. This is it now. Last game of the day. Okay, let's go ahead and have a look here at the builds. Sorry, just getting distracted. And now we've got Gobbo Slayer coming in. Forgot to update the scoreboard, but that's fine. We pretty much know who won at this point, right? Just get rid of all that. Okay. So for the Greenskins, we've got, yes, Goblin Great Shaman on the Spider. I remember Gobbo Slayer and I, if you guys remember, for the video I made about this mount back before, in like January, I think it was, Gobbo Slayer and I actually played a few games with it, and a mod that was out at the time, I should say, and just to kind of see how it would function, and we were both came to the conclusion that while it would be strong, it would be pretty well balanced because of the leadership, and that certainly has proven to be true in the game, and I don't know if they based that purely off of my videos. I would love to claim credit. My ego would certainly love it, but I don't know if I actually can. We've got Double Bob as well. One of them has item. One of them has the immune to psychology and the tank item, so he can take a bit more damage. Just a couple of stone trolls, very strong pick. 8-peak loons, gobbos, and orcs up front. Orc boys, nice to see. For the Tomb King side, we've got a bone giant. Arkan the Black, Tomb Prince, and a Necrotect, 2 Ushabti, a couple of Nehakara Horsemen. It'd be interesting. Oh, hey guys, let's not get political in the chat. I will start banning people. We don't need to talk about the issues. This is a place we come to escape from them, right? So. Yeah, let's just put a stop to that conversation right now. Anyway, here we are. Bone Giant's getting a little bit of damage. We're gonna get, oh man, nice. The Night Shroud being used to make all these units unspottable. I don't know. They actually have to get unspotted first though, and I don't know. Oh, there they go. Finally getting unspotted. Arkan's gonna come forward and scout. At the very least though, it should protect some of these units. Oh man, never mind. They're not spotted anymore. Arkan the Black, look at how close he's getting before he discovers that spider. That is the most terrifying thing. Could you imagine being in Arkan's shoes right? This is how close he had to get for this spider to be revealed. Let's just take a minute to appreciate how terrifying that would be. Could you even imagine? Very understandably, Arkan is going to flee for his life, take a nice blast in the back for his trouble. But wow, that was a beautiful use of the Night Shroud there, actually, to get in without taking too much damage from the Bone Giant. And now, there's not a lot to protect the Arkan here. I guess the Tomb Prince is going to come in and try and do his best, but these I almost call them Ice Trolls. The Stone Trolls making a heavy push through the center here. And, yeah, Liber Mortis being used. The Troll, the Gobbo here has overextended himself a little bit, this Great Shaman. We'll see how much he ends up paying the price. He does have a lot of HP. That Tomb Prince is going to be able to do some good damage to him. The boys, oh man, the boys are having a hard time getting into support, but it should be okay for the time being. Looks like we're going to have a nice itchy nuisance. That will definitely help this this spider fight a little bit more effectively here. Crown of Command being used on himself as well. He is getting Spirit Leeched also by Arkan, but just in general, Spider Riders coming in maybe a little late. They are going to rear charge those Nehakara Horsemen though. That should help break them. And a beautiful shot of the Fanatics just through themselves. That's a true 8-peak loon right there. Shooting the Fanatics through your own unit. I love it. Actually did a lot of damage though, so that was totally worth it. And the Wah now being popped as well. All these Greenskins units getting a massive damage spike across. The Shaman has been able to stabilize somewhat with his spiders helping to support here, but this Tomb Prince is definitely still a problem, and I definitely think that one or both of these Bobs should have gone and tried to finish off this Tomb Prince, because if this Spider Lord goes down, that's going to be a big problem for the Greenskins. He still has a good amount of HP, though. He's going to be able to screen out, even if he does get his leadership broken here. I say he's going to be able to screen out. We'll see. Yeah, Nekar Horseman might be able to pursue him here, but I do think he's going to come back from route. Bounce power is still relatively close. Bobs are able to hold everyone's leadership together for the time being, but mono-y-mono, I think the Tomb Prince will probably beat Bob because of his anti-large. And the fact that Bob is, he's pretty good, but he's not the most tanky in the world. This is the Bob that has only the item, though. This other Bob is the one that has the actual immune to psychology. But yeah, you can see with Bob gone down and with the Goblin Great Shaman gone down, it's not looking great for the Greenskins. Wa now being popped again. And also the Realm of Souls still popping off, so there's still the Ushabti summon left to be used, which can come in and if it gets summoned on the spider, it'll do a lot of damage to him. Oh man, the Bone Giant also being more or less free here. If it starts shooting the spider, that's a big problem. Yep, exactly what it's doing. Swing and a miss there somehow. I don't know how you missed the broadside of an Arachnarok, but getting these trolls, bringing them around, and reunifying with Bob is the thing to do. They'll be able to regenerate some of their HP there and continue sustaining. They're trading barbs right now, the Itchy Nuisance for the giant bolts of the Bone Giant, and the Spider Riders coming in and actually getting a surround here on Arcan, poisoning him, bogging him down, continuing to do some damage. And now the trolls can kind of detach and try and make their way over there. Gabos and Orc Boys trying to clean up skeletons out near the periphery, and this, man, if that Crown of Command was off of cooldown, that would be perfect. This Gabo Great Shaman could keep himself online, but maybe he's saving it to try and use it on the trolls here. Not really sure. This Bob's taking a lot of damage. But the Tomb Kings are getting pretty low themselves. Once that Ushabti summon's gone, that will be, oh, and it drops right in front of those trolls there. That is nice. That does mean, oh, and the Curse of Jaff comes in. We've seen that once before already today, used to good effect. And here, it actually enrages the Goblin Great Shaman, so he can't cast any spells first. And second, he's going to be in combat with those Ushabti, you know, taking armor-piercing damage. Likewise, it hit those Stone Trolls, which then collapsed on the Necrotect and actually might just finish him off, which is probably good, actually, for the Greenskins. But a Spirit Leech on the big crab, or spider, not a crab, on the Spider Lord, and I don't think, yeah, I think that's probably GG for Lizardmen. Great game to both players. King of the Dead living up to his name, taking the Tomb Kings to a victory. Yeah, that was a good game. Great attempt. I honestly think just overextending the spider, and pretty clearly that was a little bit of a mistake, but just detaching the Bobs, if you could have got one or both of them in to help fight. And I almost wonder, maybe cut one of those Bobs out for the Spider Assassin, right? The Gobbo Big Boss, because that they need stab and debuff will help you fight the Tomb Prince or Arcan. Like, that could have made the difference, perhaps, in the little bit of remaining HP that they have. And even if he's not necessarily, you know, directly supporting the spider, even just using that character debuff would have been quite nice there. Double Bob is pretty good, but I think going, in my own experience, going Bob and Boss, Bob and Gobbo, Bob and Gobbo, that sounds like a name of a podcast. Anyway, great game. Lizardmen, no, whatever. Yeah, yeah, I know this game. I promise. Alright, so I'm going to take a break. I will put up the next stream. I'll put it on the schedule. Probably going to be in about an hour and a half to 2 hours from now, depending on some things. But, yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to go ahead and finalize the results here. And yep, pretty clearly Marcus Wolfhart campaign won with 15 votes. So that's what we'll be doing. Just got to get thumbnail and such prepared. Shouldn't take me too long. All right. Thank you all so much. Yeah, the Shaman Spider Mount, I love it. I promised, actually, if you go back and look, I did promise I would do a stream exclusively using him at some point, which I do still plan to do. But yeah. Yes, indeed. Alrighty, guys. Big thanks.